I'm Dr. Fiona Lovely, and this is the Not Your Mother's Menopause podcast. I'm taking the taboos of menopause and perimenopause and bringing light to the dark. No bullshit, no shame. It's time for us to gain a new paradigm in female health, out with the old and in with the new, and I'm bringing fresh perspectives from someone in the arena. I've been practicing women's health for nearly 20 years, and I'm spilling the tea on what it means to live at midlife, knowing that the best is yet to come. I'm sharing my Gen X approach to living through this transition. Sassy, a bit sweary, and always honest. Tactical tips and instantly usable information is my aim. I hope to make you laugh and that you learn something new that helps you embrace the change. Together, we bring power to the peri. Onward to the podcast. If your energy levels feel low and you're experiencing digestive issues like gas and bloating, even when eating healthy, nutritious foods, imagine how you might feel during the indulgence of the holiday season. Adding a high-quality enzyme supplement to your routine could make a big difference. I personally recommend Masszymes by Biooptimizers. It's a best-in-class supplement loaded with full-spectrum enzymes for digesting proteins, starches, sugars, fibers, and fats. After you start taking Masszymes, you may notice that you no longer feel bloated after meals and that your belly feels flatter. These powerful enzymes boost your energy by increasing metabolism of your food for fuel. And by improving digestion, your body has more resources to allocate for mental and cognitive function. I can definitely vouch for these enzymes. I take them myself, and they are powerful. For the entire month of November, Biooptimizers, the makers of Masszymes, are having a Black Friday sale, their best sale of the year. All month long, you'll get discounts with my unique code, plus access to up to $100 in free gifts with purchase. You can only get this exclusive deal through my link, special for the audience of the Not Your Mother's Menopause podcast. You won't find this on Amazon or even on the company website. Go to biooptimizers.com/lovely and use code LOVELY to get your discount and free gifts today. All Biooptimizer supplements are best in class. If you don't agree, you can get a full refund for up to 1 year after your purchase, no questions asked. Again, the link to go to right now for this exclusive deal is biooptimizers.com/lovely using the code LOVELY, links in the show notes. Menopause skin. Nobody's favorite part of the transition at midlife we call perimenopause and menopause. If you're noticing fine lines, wrinkles, or sagging skin, maybe more texture during your menopause, I have some really exciting news for you. Menopause can deplete your skin's collagen, speeding up the aging, but here's the news. Vitale Skincare has built its entire line on the power of GHK-Cu copper peptides, a proven ingredient that signals your skin's stem cells to produce new and healthy collagen. My personal favorite, Vitale's Restorative Skin Cell Serum. I love how it rejuvenates and restores my skin from within, revealing a firmer, more radiant glow. Want to experience this transformation for yourself? Head to vitaleskincare.com and use the code LOVELY at checkout for 20% off. That's vitaleskincare.com, VITALI skin, SKINCARE.com, code LOVELY. Because with Vitale, youthful, vibrant skin is just a step away at any age. You're tuned in to the Not Your Mother's Menopause podcast. I'm Dr. Fiona Lovely. Today, we're talking about the number one question I hear in my clinic and the number one question you guys are asking me on social media. And that question is this: why am I gaining weight? Nothing has changed, and I can't lose weight the way I used to. Now, this is one of the most common and most frustrating experiences of midlife. Let's say you're in your late 30s, you're somewhere in your 40s. You haven't changed how you eat. You haven't changed how you move, how you exercise. In fact, you might even be eating less and exercising more because you've noticed your pants are getting tighter. But despite all your effort, the weight keeps creeping on. You might also notice that you are exhausted after lunch, like need to put my head on my desk exhausted. You might wake up in the middle of the night, your heart racing, feeling strangely hungry. Or maybe you find yourself getting shaky, irritable, and completely hangry if you skip a meal. I know that was me for a long time. Now, this can make us feel like we're failing somehow, and because we live in a culture that has conditioned us to believe that skinny equals healthy, you probably think the answer is just more discipline, more restriction, or another brutal diet. I'm here to tell you, this is not a failure of willpower. You are not doing anything wrong. Your body is going through a profound biochemical shift. It's all part of perimenopause. And we're talking about today in this episode, the metabolic switch of perimenopause. I'm going to answer the question of why your body composition is changing, but what we are going to do by talking about insulin, glucose management, and your metabolic engine. Because the answer to why your pants are tight is the exact same answer to how we support your metabolic engine and by extension, protect your heart. We're embracing strong over skinny. Okay, so why should you care about this metabolic switch? Why are we talking about blood sugar and insulin on a menopause podcast when you just asked me about the weight around your middle? Because perimenopause is not just a reproductive transition, sister, it is a metabolic transition. That weight gain, those energy crashes, the brain fog, the sugar cravings, these are all signs of metabolic strain. They are signs that your body is struggling with glucose management. And glucose is our fuel. It's what comes from our food to fuel our metabolism, our functions, etc. When your body can no longer manage glucose efficiently, it defaults to storing it. And it stores it right around your middle as fat, specifically visceral fat. The frustration you feel about your waistline is completely valid. Of course, you want to know what's happening, but the story underneath that changing body composition is about the metabolism. When we support your metabolic health, we aren't just trying to make your pants fit better. We're restoring your energy, clearing your brain fog, and yes, protecting your heart. And heart disease is the leading health concern and cause of mortality for postmenopausal women. But it all starts with understanding why the weight is showing up in the first place. Okay, so you know I like to do the science. Here it is. Here's the textbook info. What is actually happening in your body that's causing this weight gain? Well, it all comes down to estrogen. Estrogen is a massive protector and machine of our metabolic system. It helps our cells respond to insulin. Insulin is a hormone produced by your pancreas. Think of it like a key. When you eat, glucose enters your bloodstream. Insulin is the key that unlocks your muscle and fat cells so that glucose can get inside and be used for energy or stored away. When estrogen declines during perimenopause, your cells become less responsive to that key. This is called insulin resistance. Because the cells aren't responding, the glucose stays in your bloodstream longer. Your pancreas panics and pumps out more and more insulin, trying to force the doors open. Now, this creates two major shifts in your body comp. First, elevated insulin puts your body into fat storage mode. Excess glucose that you can't get into the cells is eventually stored as fat. Second shift, the pattern of where you store fat changes. Before menopause, estrogen directs fat to your hips and thighs. Without that estrogen, your body begins depositing new fat deep in your abdomen around your organs. This is called visceral fat, and it is highly inflammatory. But glucose management isn't just about insulin, it's a team effort. And the MVP of that team is your muscle. Your muscle is your primary metabolic sink. It's where the vast majority of your glucose is stored and used for energy. But as estrogen drops, we also lose muscle mass, a process called sarcopenia, which I've talked about lots on the show, which is the age-related loss of muscle mass. Furthermore, our basal metabolic rate drops at menopause by approximately 200 calories per day. When we lose muscle, we lose our capacity to clear glucose from the blood, and we burn fewer calories at rest. This explains why weight gain can occur even when your eating patterns have not changed. But we also have to talk about cortisol, the stress hormone. Cortisol's job is to raise blood sugar in an emergency. If you are chronically stressed, not sleeping, or engaged in extended fasting, your cortisol stays high. This undermines your glucose management entirely, pushing your body further into fat storage mode and placing additional strain on your heart. So to summarize the science, estrogen drops, insulin sensitivity decreases, muscle mass declines, and your metabolic rate slows down. So your body is doing exactly what it is biologically programmed to do in this environment when estrogen starts to decline in perimenopause. Okay, so you know I love my tactical tools. Let me share those with you now. What can we do about this? You asked me what you can do about the weight gain, and my answer is we support your metabolic health. The body composition changes will follow naturally when the metabolic engine is running smoothly. So here's the toolkit. We're moving away from restriction and towards nourishment. Tool number 1, protein and fiber first. You need to target 100 plus grams of protein and 25 plus grams of fiber every single day. Now, women will take that number like it is the gospel. I want you to hold it lightly. Some days you may get more than 100 grams of protein, and based on your body weight, you may need more than 100 grams of protein. And some days you won't. You're not going to self-flagellate over it. You're simply going to observe and work towards the goal. Aim for about 30 grams of protein per meal. Just so you know, a chicken breast is about 30 grams of protein. Protein slows down the absorption of glucose into your bloodstream, and it gives your body the building blocks it needs to maintain that precious muscle mass, your primary metabolic sink. Fiber improves insulin resistance and feeds your gut microbiome. Tool number 2, the order with which you eat the food on your plate is a game changer for your blood sugar. Try to eat your protein first, then your fats, then your fiber, like veggies, or save your carbohydrates for last. You can also add the fiber first, so fiber and protein first, then your fats, then your carbs. This simple behavioral shift blunts the glucose spike after you've eaten. You get to eat the same food, just in an order that supports your metabolism and protects your heart. Tool number 3, do not skip meals. I know skipping meals and intermittent fasting, which I've talked about a lot on this show, is a common tool that women will use. And I want to be clear. There's solid research supporting fasting for neurological health. And in fact, I've used it clinically for patients with mild cognitive impairment or mild or new diagnosis of neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's and dementia, and seen a reversal of the cognitive impairment, which is fascinating to me. However, this can become disordered eating in women really quickly because, of course, we grew up in the era of dieting, the dieting industry, etc. This is what our mothers did. This may be how our nervous systems were actually wired, was back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s when we still favored skinny over everything. But we know better now. So back to intermittent fasting and its use for neurological health. Autophagy, which is the body's cellular cleanup process, is stimulated during fasting, and the research on fasting for reversing neurodegeneration is real and it's significant. Now, if you're working with a practitioner on cognitive health concerns, fasting may absolutely be part of your protocol. But in our diet-obsessed culture, fasting easily becomes a socially acceptable form of restriction. And for midlife women specifically, skipping meals works against your metabolic health in several important ways. First, it affects cortisol and blood sugar. When you skip a meal, your blood sugar drops. Your body responds by releasing cortisol to bring it back up. In midlife, when cortisol is already more reactive due to declining estrogen and progesterone, this spike is more pronounced. Chronically elevated cortisol drives fat storage, particularly the visceral fat we talked about. The second way, the overcompensation cycle. When you do finally eat after skipping your meal, again, with intermittent fasting, or if you're just trying to reduce your calories and reduce your weight, your blood sugar spikes sharply. Your pancreas then floods the system with insulin to compensate. And this roller coaster of low, high, low blood sugar is exactly the pattern that worsens insulin resistance over time. Third, muscle breakdown. During a fasted state, once the body has used up its glycogen stores, it will turn to muscle tissue for fuel. That's the very tissue we are trying to protect and build. The fourth is metabolic rhythm. Eating within an hour of waking signals to your body that food is available and it is safe to run the metabolism at full capacity. Skipping breakfast sends the opposite signal, scarcity, which prompts the body to conserve energy and store fat. And fifth, one I talk about often is the diet culture trap. Skipping meals, especially breakfast, has been normalized as a weight management strategy for women. It actively works against our metabolic health at midlife, however. We are not restricting our way to healthy metabolism, we are nourishing our way there. Eat breakfast, eat within an hour of waking to break the fast and tell your body to go ahead and start its metabolic engine. And this sets your metabolic rhythm for the day. Okay, tool number 4, post-meal movement. Take a 10-minute walk after you eat. You don't need to break a sweat. Just moving your body after a meal helps your glucose move into the muscles, requiring less insulin to do the job. My husband and I do this. We literally walk around the block. Now, if it's a nice day, we may walk farther. If we're deep in conversation, we may walk farther, but it doesn't require a lot of time. Maybe you just need to walk down to the mailbox and back. Just something to drive the glucose into the muscles. Okay, tool number 5 is to build muscle. When it comes to movement and metabolic health, muscle is the goal. Resistance training, lifting weights, using your body weight as the resistance, anything that challenges your muscles increases your resting metabolic rate and gives your body more capacity to manage glucose. This is where the real metabolic magic happens. Plus, weight-bearing exercise like heel drops or lifting weights is required to stimulate bone remodeling. Bone responds to force. You need to load it to strengthen it. Okay, I want to talk about one of the more popular options, if you will, for women's health and metabolic health and weight loss, and that is the GLP-1 medications. These are the medications called semaglutide and tirzepatide, and they are a treatment for metabolic dysfunction, diabetes, and obesity. They work by improving insulin sensitivity and supporting fat metabolism, which ultimately protects the cardiovascular system. They reduce the food noise and suppress appetite, and yes, for many women, a pleasant side effect of that is changes in body composition. Now, here's something that gets wildly overblown on social media, and I want to address it: muscle loss. Here's the truth. Muscle loss is a risk with any calorie-reducing plan, with any diet restriction, any calorie restriction you might be on. This is not a GLP-1 exclusive problem. When you are consuming fewer calories, if you are not actively working to preserve your muscle, you will lose some. The solution is the same as it always is: eat enough protein and do your resistance training. If you're curious about whether a GLP-1 medication is right for you, that conversation begins with your GP or your prescribing nurse practitioner. What I want you to take away is this: these medications work incredibly well and best when the foundation's already in place: the protein, the movement, and the muscle. So this is the metabolic story of midlife. The weight around your middle, the afternoon crashes, and the brain fog, it's all connected. It is your metabolism telling you that something has shifted. And now you know what to do about it. Eat well, eat the right things. That is getting enough protein, move your body, build your strength, and please stop restricting your way through this life stage. You deserve to be nourished. And I hope this new format that I'm testing out, which is a shorter version of the show, really tactical information. You know, I like the textbook information. This is how I like it for myself. I want to know how. I want to know why before I know how. So I deliver you the textbook information, and then I give you the tactical toolkit, which I've done since day one of the Not Your Mother's Menopause podcast. It is my attempt to break through the shinfo that's out there. That is the shitty info, along with just get you something that is really useful in a much smaller bite. So thank you as always for spending the time with me today, for supporting the sponsors of the show that allowed me to continue to do this show of high caliber and quality, but also just letting me be in your ear for a few minutes. What a pleasure. What a privilege. I'm Dr. Fiona Lovely. Thank you for listening to the Not Your Mother's Menopause podcast. The information and other content provided in this show, or in any linked materials, is not intended and should not be construed as medical advice, nor is the information a substitute for professional medical expertise or treatment. We are doctors, but we aren't your doctor. Seek your doctor's opinion. If you or any other person has a medical concern, you should consult with your healthcare provider or seek other professional medical treatment. Never disregard professional medical advice or delay in seeking it because of something that you have heard in this podcast or in any linked materials. If you think you may have a medical emergency, call your doctor or emergency services immediately. The opinions and views expressed on this page and in this show have no relation to those of any academic, hospital, health practice, or other institution. Thank you.